Hello, everyone. It is right at the top of the hour, so we are going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to this Thursday's webinar with Wesley of Hometown Industries on doing business on Amazon, selling things on Amazon. I am super excited to see all of you guys tuned in today. We are going to jump into that topic in just a second, but first, I just had a couple of quick announcements that I wanted to go through just as we're still waiting for a few more people to tune in as well. We'll give them some time. First things first, I wanted to give a shout out to our featured sponsor, which is the Nebraska Grape and Winery Board. They are sponsoring Marketech this year, and I'll talk more about that in just a little bit, but just wanted to give them a little extra shout out and thank them for their support of Marketech and our other training endeavors here at Grow Nebraska. Second, wanted to give a shout out to Lips, which is a Kearney business who has been a Grow Nebraska member since 2005. We love to give our members a little extra love, and this is just one way that we can show them that love. We have a different featured member every month, and so this month's featured member is Lips. Third, and I teased this earlier, I wanted to talk just a little bit about Marketech. If you love our educational opportunities like these webinars, you are going to love Marketech. This year's theme is making the digital pivot. We have some amazing experts coming in to talk about digital marketing, e-commerce, and just all sorts of topics surrounding that. Wesley is actually also going to be one of our panelists at Marketech, so you can see him there. And as well, we are just going to have a lot of networking opportunities. We have the opportunity for people to register for a booth where you can sell your product, meet with potential customers, and network with other small business owners. So really great opportunities there. Registration is open now. We actually just extended our early bird rates too, so make sure that you sign up ASAP to get those rates. We're also starting to run out of room for our exhibitor booths, so if you want one of those, make sure to sign up for that really quickly. And I am just excited to hopefully see some of you guys there. You can register at marketechconference.com, and that has even more information about the conference on that website. So now it is time to hand over the microphone to Wesley. Super excited to hear what he has to say. If you have any questions during the presentation, please do not hesitate to drop those into the chat here. I just sent a message, hi, to the chat, and so you can drop those there. You can also send a private message to me, Grow Nebraska, if you don't want to ask it to everybody, but also just feel free to put any questions that you have in there. Don't be afraid that if you put one in there and it gets answered, that you'll look silly. I would rather have lots and lots of questions in there. That way people don't miss the opportunity to ask those. So I hope that you guys will use that chat feature. And for right now, I am going to bring up our presentation on selling products on Amazon.
Hi, my name is Wesley, and I'm here to cover selling well on Amazon. I've worked on over 40 different business accounts, whether that's running them as they are or that was setting them up, and I helped Grow Nebraska with their Amazon account. So they asked me to make a bit of a comprehensive presentation on what it takes to get started, and then once you have an account, what it takes to do well. So let's get to it. So the first thing is, what's it going to take to get started? The key business information here is, do you have a business name, an EIN number? Of course, you may have a business address. They're going to ask for a bank or credit card statement, some sort of proof of address like a utility statement and a driver's license. Simply searching selling on it, sell on Amazon and clicking the first link as shown there, and then giving them the information we just talked about. It'll work. There's really no approval. They're just verifying that information, and it takes them about 2 weeks. It'll all end with Amazon actually looking to set up a meeting with you, a virtual meeting, where a representative will ask you to hold up your license or other pieces of information to the screen, and they're just verifying who you are. It's not an approval marketplace, even though they do approve you, but really they're just verifying. So after 2 weeks, if you happen to have all that business information ready, Oh, and by the way, I may add, if I can add one last thing to the previous part, it'd be that, yeah, you can use a social security number as well if you want to sell as an individual. But once, what's it look like when you start, right? If you actually have that business information and you have products you want to sell, whether that's your own unique products or you own a business where you buy products from other manufacturers and in bulk, and you sell them to customers maybe in a storefront or on your Shopify store, and now you're looking to extend that to Amazon. Um, this is what, in a sense, a new account might look like. You'll see a negative balance of $39.99. That's because these professional accounts, ultimately the account you'll be looking to sell on, it costs $39.99 a month to use. But most importantly, if you want to sell on Amazon, you have to create inventory. So let's take a look at listing a product, right? So if you're taking notes, I'm including where to click. And so if you go to catalog, add a product, and then you select a category, a lot of this information you get to choose and fill out, and it won't be a big deal at all. You ultimately get to choose things like the product name and the price. A key piece of information that you'll want to have ahead of time is a UPC code or some sort of universal product identifier that is issued to you. If you have one that is associated with your items, or if you manufacture them, or if you resell items, and if you make sure you have the UPC code, this will all go over very smoothly, and you'll be able to plug in that. Amazon will do a check on that live, and then once you plug in the other information, you're good to go. Now, I will expand on this a little bit. There are cases where you can request an exemption from having a UPC code. It's a bit of a more of a complex process where you'll have to call Amazon seller support or email them and let them know in a very specific way that your product or line of products do not have UPC codes, and there's a good reason for that. They'll ask for some sort of proof, but ultimately it is possible to list without UPCs. Another important point is on Amazon, you get big brownie points if you have a trademarked brand. So if you have a registered trademark, not even a pending trademark, but a registered trademark with the USTPO, that is something that you can register with Amazon as well, and that will enable you to fill out the brand value very easily. If you don't have one, that's fine, and you'll be able to plug in a value so long as it's legitimate, right? You can't, of course, pick someone else's brand and make it your own. But I guess this is the long way of saying if you don't have a brand, it's still a registered trademark brand. It's still entirely reasonable to list on Amazon. But if you do, you're definitely going to want to register that with Amazon, and then you'll get a whole host of additional features. And maybe you already have that, and filling out the brand value won't be a huge deal. But with the exception of brand and product ID, everything else is up to you. Manufacturer, product name, the stuff they're asking for, and the stuff we'll talk about later. Price, description, bullet points, images, that's up to you to fill, and there's really very little verification on Amazon's part. I have a link to an example, and I actually have a screenshot of that example a few slides down. So we'll look at that later when we talk about what does a good listing on Amazon look like. One of the best reasons to use Amazon is that they do shipping for you, and their shipping rates are fantastic. I have seldom found a case in working with, really well. I said 40 businesses earlier. I've worked with well over 40 businesses, but very, very rarely have I found a case where UPS or FedEx or USPS has been able to provide better shipping rates. Amazon provides an extremely competitive rate, and of course it comes with the added benefit of these, when you get these onesie twosie orders, you as a business owner are not wasting your time on them or wasting your employees' time on them. Amazon takes care of the fulfillment, and this has really enabled small businesses in a big way over the past few years to scale on Amazon, and it makes it a very valuable and time-free channel to a certain degree. All you have to do, and of course there are some more involved steps in terms of letting Amazon know you're sending. You have to let them know you're going to send in information, products. You're going to have to let them know that, what are the dimensions of the box. It's not the nitty gritty we'll get into now because it'll distract from more important points. But ultimately, if you send Amazon the items, the Amazon, of course, is going to fulfill those items at a great rate. That's better than really you can get anywhere else. And of course, they ship it for you. That's a benefit. But that's also how you get the Prime label. If you are an Amazon shopper and you see Amazon Prime, where they're offering it to customers in 2 days with a healthy deal of customer support and guarantee, that's how you get it. So your products can be Prime very easily. It's not you'd think it's some special approval process, but it's really not. The Prime label in itself helps sell units. It's a really great benefit for small business owners and for pretty much anyone. Even some of the largest businesses I work with, I highly, highly, highly encourage using FBA, and is one of the number one reasons you should consider using Amazon or selling your products through them as a third party. So this is what I was talking about earlier. What does a good listing look like? This is an example of a listing that is fulfilled through Amazon. And when we were talking about creating a listing, I feel like it's helpful to show a result, right? What is the resulting, if you sell pickles, right? Or I shouldn't even say that. The points I'm making here largely apply to any listing. You're going to want a whole host of this is what the customer sees once they click on your listing. So you want to be able to convert them in the best way possible. That means you want a filled out title. You can see here that the title leads with a brand, which is a great way to do it, and then ultimately what the item is. So here's the brand, Picker Fresh, and then what is the item? They're kosher dill pickles. That is then followed out by well-spaced, what I would call core search terms or benefits. Large whole pickles is a search term this company is probably looking to rank for when folks search for items on Amazon. When they add things like non-GMO or no preservative, those are also search terms, but of course that's also a great, if those are selling points to the customers in themselves. Speaking of selling points, part of customer education and ultimately getting them to a buy is communicating that through images or filled out bullet points. You get 5 total, and the format here, especially of the bullet points, is a great reference. These all caps, once again, core search terms or really snippet customer selling points, and then adding some more color and of course non-capitalized text after that. In general, if you have listings on Amazon you're looking to update, or you're creating listings on Amazon that you want to you're just creating them for the first time, I would highly recommend just look for the best looking competitor, any competitor that ultimately looks like this. I'm not saying you should copy them precisely, but it makes for a great baseline for how you should be creating your listing. So if you have it's one thing to put up products on Amazon and let them sit, and if you have brand equity through your own through your own community or through social medias, you'll get sales slowly but surely, and very importantly, you'll get reviews, and that's a big factor in getting customers to convert. Do you have 1,000 reviews? Are they 5 stars? But the other way of scaling is through Amazon advertising, which is one of the things I get brought on most often to do for Amazon accounts. So I wanted to show here the start here, right? Advertising, go to Campaign Manager, and I wanted to explain some brief points, but I'm actually in the next slide. I'll give you some. I almost call them recipes, right? Just ad campaign. Like I want to be able to have you walk away some examples of ad campaigns you can run on your account that I know will run well because they run well on pretty much every account, right? And so if I can just help you out that way, why not, right? But you'll get a screen that looks like this, right? You pick a name, you pick a date, um, you pick the max spend you want to, the daily budget is what it sounds like. It's your daily budget. An important note here is just because you set a daily budget does not mean you will spend the whole daily budget. In fact, it's very common that daily budgets don't get met. Um, and then there's the automatic and manual advertising. Basically, if it's automatic, you're telling Amazon, hey, run the ads for me. Pick what search terms you want it to be on, what products you want it to be on. Just do the advertising for me. And I'll tell you what, these campaigns are actually really good, really effective, and you can get very far with those alone. But then manual targeting is exactly what it sounds like. It's what key you pick, type it. If a customer searches a keyword, where do I want to show up on it? If a customer's on a product, do I want to show up as an advertisement on that product? Pretty straightforward. And then as another tip is this campaign bidding strategy may seem a little dense, but really if you pick the dynamic bid down on like that, you should always pick that. Just always pick that. It's a way of ensuring that Amazon isn't taking more money from you than they ultimately need. But let's get to the actual examples. So hopefully if you haven't gotten anything out of this, maybe this is something you can walk away with. These are great campaigns for small businesses to just. These work on pretty much any account, and at the very least, having these as an example that you can then build off of. Hopefully that helps. So I've got two campaigns here that may be worth taking a note of. I have an all-purpose automatic campaign, right? If you set a budget to $10, you set automatic targeting, you do dynamic bids down only. You select the products you want to advertise is another step here implied. And then you set the bid. The bid is your most important tool ultimately. If you set the bid higher, you're going to show up in more places, you're going to make more sales, but it's going to cost more. And if you set the bid lower, you're going to show up in less places, but when you do make a sale, it'll be at its most profitable. And I've found, when you're new to advertising, you really don't know what bids make sense or what doesn't until you do it. I'm going to tell you right now that if you start at 10 cents, pretty much every sale you're going to make is going to be a profitable sale, although you're just not getting out there enough. And if you find that the 10 cent bid isn't getting you anywhere, that is to say, no one's even clicking on it, showing up so little, that's perfectly fine. It happens very often. Just bump it up to 15 cents or 20 cents. Just go in increments. The same way if I have a pot of water and I'm looking to get it boiling, if I have the gas on medium heat, it may take a bit, but if I wanted to speed it up, I'm going to turn up the heat. In this case, I'm going to turn up the bid. That's where you're going to have a tremendous amount of control if you just watch the bid. But to move on from that, there's an all-purpose manual keyword campaign where these are, once again, some of the settings that you should select. With the one that isn't a setting to select is at some point, if you're basically telling Amazon if a customer searches a term, I want to show up on it, or variants of that term, right? If they add like an S or an ED or something like that. But I can't tell you what are the most obvious search terms. Your brand is certainly one, but and like I showed earlier, if you sell pickles, pickles is probably a good term. If you sell auto parts, what's the part number? If you sell, it's as simple as that. Just pick your most obvious core search terms and start with a low bid and slowly scale your way up from there. These campaigns will get you very far, and in both cases, you'll probably won't even spend $10 a day. You'll only be making profitable sales most of the time, and so I think you get pretty far with these. But that's it. That's really, I hope I covered the, I hope you took notes, and these are some of the most important notes on the Amazon account. You're just following these, assuming you run into no roadblocks. you're going to get very far if you have a good product and you're selling at a good price and you're promoting it reasonably, like I just talked about, and you're able to actually create an Amazon account. You're going to see a meaningful amount of sales, and hopefully that benefits you. Thanks a bunch for listening. The end.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that awesome information. I love the actual like bids to start with. That's super helpful. I do hope that people were taking notes because that's a great thing to start off with, to actually have some context for how much money is a good amount of money to spend when you're doing an ad. So thank you so much for sharing that, Wesley. I don't see any questions popping up in the chat right now. Maybe that means it was really thorough and nobody has any further questions. I do want to throw up my contact information up on the screen here. So if you review this later, or if somebody is, watching this after the fact, we do send out the recording after we finish with the webinar. So if anybody's watching this after the fact and you do have a question, feel free to reach out to me. I am more than happy to connect you with Wesley or help you find a resource within the Grow Nebraska network to help you grow your business, to help you with a specific question that you have. And still just trying to fill a little time here just in case anyone does have a burning question that they want to put in the chat, then we can address it. Wesley is on and he can hop on to answer that question. So just thank you so much to everyone who tuned in today. I hope that this information was really helpful. Thank you so much, Norma, for saying that. I thought it was great information too, and so I just want to say thank you to Wesley again for putting together this presentation for us, for sharing his knowledge. So Amazon pricing. I do think that that's probably going to be something that ends up being unique to you. Devon, do you have a specific question that you would like to ask in regards to pricing? Because we'd love to maybe answer a specific question for you or give you some context if you're looking for some specific context. Again, these are meant to be just kind of an overview webinar, but too, if you have a specific sort of presentation that you would like us to find information on, we would love to, put something warehouse pricing. So Devon, are you looking for how to price your products, how warehouse pricing works, why a warehouse deal is cheaper than, just a normal price on Amazon? Just kind of looking for a little bit more context there so we can help you specifically. How does Amazon warehouse pricing work? All right. I think I might have a little bit of context for this, but Wesley, if you wouldn't mind hopping on stage and maybe explaining what warehouse pricing is for us, I think that that might be helpful to Devon. Yep, I can hear you.
Hopefully I have a little bit more energy in my voice this time compared to the presentation. And I'd ultimately add that Devon or anyone else, if you really for any of you, if you ever have any questions about Amazon or even are having difficulties on existing accounts, you can just give me a call. I'll just solve it right for you. It's really no big deal to me, and I love helping out Nebraska businesses. Anyways, though, when it comes to warehouse pricing, so the answer is they will charge you to store your products if your products stick around Amazon too long. So, for example, this rate changes, but a good benchmark rate would be if your products are hanging around an Amazon warehouse for 3 months, right? The same inventory, not that you have inventory in stock there for 3 months, but rather you sent in product and it's just not doing anything. They'll charge you 1% of your Amazon revenue, or as a monthly storage fee, they'll charge 25 cents per item. Largely, these fees do not come into play for businesses. I have, when you think about the material cost to the businesses operating on Amazon, you think of the shipping cost, which is, it's dependent on the item you send, and Amazon has a referral fee of 15% every time you sell an item. That's Amazon's, okay, you've sold an item on our site, that's what we get. Those are the really material costs. The storage costs have largely been negligible to small businesses and large businesses. It's just there as an incentive to make sure that you keep inventory moving within their warehouse. But if you're looking for an actual rate, I'd bet, if I had to clarify, I'd say, they charge about either 25 cents per unit per month or about 1% of your Amazon revenue. But I wouldn't worry about that.
Okay, perfect. Looks like Devon said thanks for that. So I hope that we tackled that question for you. Thanks for hopping on to answer that, Wesley. Don't see any other questions popping up right now. Again, if you do have any other questions that pop up, or you would love to connect with Wesley more, feel free to reach out to me, or really anyone at Grow Nebraska can connect you with him. We do use his business's services for all of our Amazon listings. Wesley has been super helpful to us and all of our members. So highly recommend his knowledge base and his business's services. So thank you so much for presenting for us today, Wesley. Still don't see any more questions, but if you do have anything, please reach out. I'm going to go ahead and close off this webinar then. Thank you so much to everyone for tuning in. I hope to see you again on a webinar here soon. Thanks. Bye.